Never thought I'd get mocked for being a poor guy when I first met my girlfriend's parents. I called my parents to vent and they joked about it too. Your sister's a top-tier celebrity, a superstar in acting and singing. Your brother has built his own business empire, and it's thriving. And you? Totally useless. You can't even pick the right partner. Better come home and take over our fortune. At that first meeting, her parents laid out their demands. A dowry of $1 million, a house over 100 square meters, and a car. Plus, a house for her big brother in the city center. They want someone with a stable job, no parents, and no siblings. I could manage the first 4 conditions, but the last one, no way. My girlfriend Molly said that's their bottom line. Her parents work in state-owned enterprises. Their circle is all like them, all have similar conditions. She said even her friends and neighbors, who aren't as well off, ended up marrying better. Seeing me quiet, she pouted and said, "Sweetie, I know you love me the most. You wouldn't want other girls to outshine me, right? I could elope with you against my parents' wishes, but that would mean no blessings. And a marriage without blessings won't be happy. You wouldn't want me unhappy, would you? If I fall for that, I must have a screw loose. Sure, I'm rich but not stupid. And they want no parents, right? So where would they fit in?" "Molly, I remember you weren't like this in college," I said. She put out her cigarette and replied, "Dino, we're not kids anymore. This world is realistic. Living on love alone doesn't work. It's proven that crying in a BMW is better than laughing on a bicycle. If you can't meet these conditions, I can only say sorry. Maybe we're just not meant to be." Oh, the irony. Molly was my college classmate. We never asked about each other's family during dating. Right after graduation, I planned to introduce her to my family. But boom, she introduced me to hers first, and they hit me with those ridiculous conditions. When I got home, I told my family everything. My brother, Johnny, laughed in disbelief. "Dino, those first 4 demands? They're crazy, but not impossible for us. Money can solve that. But that last one? Over the line. We like a challenge, but can't handle jinxing ourselves. Sorry, can't climb that high, bro. Best to break it off." Lucy, messing with her new nails, said, "Little bro, let me know what kind of girls you like. Okay?" Mom and Dad stayed quiet but told Johnny and Lucy to keep an eye on who I date next. Trying to end things peacefully, I went to Molly's house. As I knocked, I planned a proper breakup speech. But when the door opened, there was Molly all snuggled up with a middle-aged foreign dude. Smoking, acting cozy. Last I checked, that's not her dad. She's not half anything either. Seeing them, I knew this wasn't a one-time meeting. Molly's mom proudly said, "This is Molly's new boyfriend, Tim. He's from Europe, Albania. A teacher with everything perfect for Molly. We approve." Tim looked at me curiously and asked who I was. Molly, blowing smoke, replied, "College classmate, old boyfriend, broke, can't let go." Tim studied me and said in broken Chinese, "Your ex-boyfriend is kinda cute." Then Molly's brother, Peter, jumped in, sneering, "Being cute doesn't pay the bills. Still broke." Then he grinned at Tim, "You're a better match, noble blood, generous. My parents like him." Tim ignored that, looking at Molly, saying, "Mostly cause of you, babe." Peter chimed in, "Europeans know how to compliment. Molly's lucky marrying you. When do I get to see my apartment gift in the city center?" Tim laughed, "That's up to your sister." They were all celebrating their new foreign family member, ignoring me completely. Molly was officially done in my mind, and I was glad not to be tied to them. I gave them a warning, Albania's the poorest in Europe. Just saying, be careful. Molly's mom scoffed, "Even if they're poor, they're richer than you. You're dreaming if you think you stand a chance." Before she finished, Peter tried to swing at me. Last time I let it slide for Molly's sake. But not today. I grabbed his arm and twisted it behind him, pushing down hard. Peter fell to his knees right in front of me. Peter immediately started wailing. "You dare hit my brother." Molly jumped up from the foreign guy's arms and angrily charged at me. Her parents also rushed toward me. I quickly made my escape with Molly's voice trailing behind me. "Dino, this isn't over. My sister set me up on a blind date with a girl named Lily. She's a sophomore at her college." I planned to meet her at a cafe near her campus at 2 p.m. I got there 10 minutes early. I ordered a cappuccino, a macchiato, and an orange juice. After about 5 minutes, I texted Lily my table number. While waiting, I suddenly heard a very unpleasant voice. "Dino, what are you doing here?" I knew it was Molly without even looking. I glanced up. She was leaning on her middle-aged foreign boyfriend. Ever since she started dating a foreigner, she'd become annoyingly boastful, acting all high and mighty. I wasn't interested in dealing with someone so pretentious. I was starting to doubt my judgment back then. Molly looked at me with disgust. "Dino, I can't believe you've sunk so low. Stalking me now? No matter how much you bother me, we'll never get back together. We used to be equals, classmates, a couple. But now the gap between us is huge. In today's world, someone as lazy as you has no future, and definitely no girlfriend. For the sake of old times, I'll overlook what you did to my brother. But please, disappear from my sight immediately." She finished with a self-righteous flair. I had no idea how she figured I was lazy, but I knew her idea of progress was dating a foreign guy. I was about to tell them to get lost and stop bothering me when I heard a voice from behind. "Excuse me, could you please move? You're in the way." Molly instinctively shifted aside, and a girl wearing white sneakers, denim overalls, a white top, and a black fedora with long hair tucked under it, walked over. She had a cute, delicate face and sat down across from me, looking gracefully confident. She checked the time. "I'm not late. You just got here early." I was about to speak when Molly interrupted again. "Dino, who is she? Your new girlfriend?" Molly eyed her with clear jealousy, then acted like she'd caught me cheating. "No wonder you broke up so easily. You had someone lined up already. You jerk. Ugh." I dodged her spit and glanced around at the bystanders watching the drama unfold. Then I stared back at Molly, barely hiding my irritation. "Sorry, but your parents' asking price was too high for me. Can't even afford a few million? You're such a broke loser. How can you think about marriage?" Molly scoffed as she leaned against her foreign boyfriend. "My dear is better, rich and generous." Her words caused the crowd to murmur in disapproval. A cafe staffer approached Molly. "Ma'am, due to your inappropriate comments that seriously hurt our guests, we have to ask you to leave." Molly looked embarrassed at first, then confused, turning to anger, as if she couldn't see anything wrong with what she'd said. "My boyfriend is a foreigner, understand? You can't make us leave. Where's your manager? I want to see your manager." The staff dodged her spit. "This is our boss's decision." Her middle-aged boyfriend chimed in. "I demand to see your manager. You're infringing on my rights." The staff gestured for them to leave. "Please cooperate." Molly and Tim gave off an air of superiority, refusing to comply. The girl across from me stood up and coldly said, "Mr. Tim, I recorded everything. You might want to handle your girlfriend. I doubt you'd want this video shared in the school group. You're a student at a university? I got my eye on you now." Tim's face turned stormy. After his empty threat, he managed to calm Molly down and let her out. The young woman flashed a brief, disdainful smile and told the staff, "Carrie, you handled that well. You'll get a bonus this month." "Thank you, boss," the staff member replied, happily running off. She extended her right hand to me. "Hi, I'm Lily." Lily and I chatted for a bit. We got along okay. Our personalities were similar. Both of us were a little aloof and cold. We could be friends, but definitely not a couple. She even admitted she liked someone else, and I wasn't looking to settle either. After exchanging contact info, we went our separate ways. Sometimes, the more you want to avoid someone, the more you run into them. Sure enough, I ran into Molly and her middle-aged boyfriend in the parking lot. Molly hooked her arm around Tim's, looking at me with disdain. "Dino, you still claim you're not stalking me? Not with your little girlfriend anymore? You sure play around dating young girls. Only broke students would date you." I shot back, "Tim, your girlfriend says you're old." Tim's face turned even darker. He glared at me and said, "Your girlfriend's at our school, right? Better watch her. I'll make sure something happens to her." With a cold laugh, I retorted, Let me remind you both, this isn't the Qing dynasty. Foreigners don't get special treatment here. No matter where they're from, they follow our laws here. Those failing elsewhere won't succeed here either. Tim, I look forward to our next meeting. Tim was like a wild dog with its tail stepped on. If it weren't for the age and height difference, I swear he'd have tried to fight me. Molly was quietly trying to calm her down while giving me a piece of her mind. Dino, only people with no skills rely on cheap talk. Tim and I won't stoop to your level. I'm leaving in my luxury car. I glanced at the BMW 3 Series parked nearby and chuckled. Exactly, that's why I never bothered with you two before. I pressed the car keys, and the lights of a black G-Wagon not far away flashed, blinding Molly. When I got home, Molly kept messaging me. Dino, is that G-Wagon yours or rented? I replied impatiently, just like you think, it's rented. Then I blocked her. I sent Tim's photo and name to Johnny, asking him to dig up info on this guy even overseas. Johnny's empire spans IT, tech, trade, and medical industries. I briefly told him the situation and asked him to check out Tim. Tim's messing with Lily, and she's my friend. She stood up for me, so I have to back her up. An hour later, Johnny sent me Tim's background. This foreigner has a wife abroad, but he's drowning in debt. He came here, exaggerating his credentials, and landed a teaching gig at a university. Little bro, how do you want to handle him? Big bro has your back. But you gotta take over mom and dad's family business, Star Group. Mom and dad laid it out clearly. Whoever doesn't make it on their own has to take over. You can't even pick the right girlfriend and you won't take over $1 billion business? After my brother's lecture/threat, I resigned myself to working at the family business. I started at Star Group from the ground level. I'm just a little admin for now. Somehow, Molly caught wind of this and took the liberty to call me for some ridicule. Dino, you finally faced reality. Congrats. I'll definitely visit you at your company. I replied, get lost. Then hung up and blocked her number. There are 3 of us siblings, and while my brother and sister have their own successful ventures, I ended up stuck with the family business because of her. I was already bummed out. I didn't need her mockery. At a company event, I noticed a familiar name on the employee list, Peter. He's a team leader in the sales department. After checking his picture, I confirmed he's Molly's brother Peter. Now I know how Molly found out about my new gig. What a small world. I looked at his name and chuckled. This event was an appreciation gathering for old clients. Peter was mingling, all smiles, showing some skill. Curious, I pretended to swing by and overheard him blatantly selling company secrets in between laughs. Couldn't believe my ears. He's bold enough to laugh off selling company secrets. When he saw me pause, he walked over, wearing a mocking grin. Well, if it isn't my ex-brother-in-law. Being so quiet today? Wasn't it you who wanted to punch me last time? I stood here now and didn't try anything? I coolly replied to his taunting, stop interfering with my work. So what if I interfere? You're just a simple admin. Do you know, the whole company survives because of our sales team? You admin folks are supposed to serve us. Got it? My dad started from scratch, carefully nurturing this company over decades. Every department plays a key role. He made it clear no one should abuse their position to bully other departments. I won't let anyone ignore his rules, so I shot back. Every department relies on each other. None are dispensable. Without support from other departments, your sales wouldn't fly. Don't spew talk like this, that discourages others. Peter didn't expect to be lectured. His face shifted. You've got some nerve telling me off. Who do you think you are? The owner or heir? Believe it or not, I could get you tossed out of here with a call. He hit closer than he knew, but I wasn't ready to play that card. Peter must have something backing him to sell company info so openly. I squinted, taking a provoking stance. Doesn't matter who I am. If you break the rules, I have the right to stop you. Go ahead. Fire me if you can. With a flushed face and righteous eyes, I played the fervent young employee to a T. Peter clicked his tongue, eyeing me with disdain. What a righteous kid. Makes me want to clap. Too bad you'll never see how grim the world is. Wait till you're fired. Molly and I will celebrate. And with that, he strutted away like he owned the place. After the event, My supervisor John called me to the meeting room with HR colleague Mike. I was thrilled. This meant Peter took the bait and pulled some strings against me. "Hello, boss. What's up?" His expression was stern. Mike from HR was there to discuss some behavior concerns. Mike kept a poker face as he asked me, "Peter, the team leader from the business department, complained that during the company event, you neglected your duties and severely tarnished the company's reputation and interests." I played along, acting completely bewildered. "That's impossible," I protested. "I was on top of my game during the event, no negligence whatsoever." It was Peter who made derogatory comments about our functions team, and I called him out on it. Now he's holding a grudge and falsely accusing me. John frowned slightly and asked, "Dino, what exactly did he say?" Without hesitating, I replied, "He said the business department keeps the whole company afloat, and all other departments are trash. We should treat their team like royalty." As soon as I finished, both the supervisor and Mike didn't look too pleased. They'd heard stuff like this before, but it was usually internal chatter within the business department. This was the first time someone had said it outright to a functional department. John chimed in, "Dino was key at the event. He was basically there before everyone and left after everyone. If he's being accused of negligence, then maybe I'm incompetent as a supervisor too." Mike's expression shifted a couple of times before he finally said, "Let's do this. I'll bring Peter and the business manager over, and we can clear things up as a group." Seeing that I didn't object, the supervisor agreed to Mike's suggestion. In no time, Peter, his manager, and Mike's boss, the HR manager, joined us in the meeting room. Mike laid out the situation for everyone. The business manager asked me, "Got any proof that Peter said those things?" I kept up the bewildered act. "Does Peter have any proof I neglected my duties?" All eyes turned to Peter, who seemed prepared for such a question. "Our whole team can testify," he declared. "Equipped, of course, they'd back your false claims. And our business manager can testify too," Peter added. "He's your direct superior." "Conflict of interest, he can't testify," I shot back. The HR manager stepped in. "Dino, would it be a conflict for me to testify?" Adopting a determined tone, I said, "You're the referee here. Whether to avoid or not, you decide." John, who hadn't spoken much till now, seeing the glisten in my eyes, couldn't help but vouch for me. As his direct supervisor, I believe Dino's in the clear. If you think otherwise, bring some evidence. Don't pin baseless accusations on him. I flashed a grateful smile at John. Amongst this mess, he seemed like the only one with some integrity. Everyone else was either playing politics or staying out of it. "John, thanks, but if they lack proof, I'm ready to stand my ground. I got nothing to lose." The business manager chuckled, "You millennials sure are a rebellious bunch. Let me teach you a thing or two about life today." The HR manager seemed troubled. "Dino, given the situation, we'll put you on leave while we look into this. Fair?" I nodded, knowing full well they'd try to drum up more charges to get rid of me for good. But to do that, they'd have to pull out all the stops. I was curious to see their moves. The HR manager turned to John. "John, you okay with this?" John glanced at me but didn't say much more. And just like that, I was put on leave. Back home, my phone rang. It was my sister Lucy. "Just heard you stirred things up with half the business and HR departments," she began, giving me an earful. Sis just cut to the chase. "No need for an intro." She laughed. "Can't fool this sharp sis o' mine. Dad and Mom say you're the dimmest of the three of us. Yet you might be the cleverest. You play the fool, but every move is calculated. You've probably got more reasons to take over Mom and Dad's company. I play dumb, innocent, and cutesy, sis. Stop asking. Mom and Dad gave me the green light to do whatever." She relented, knowing when to back off. "Tonight's my last concert this year. I need you to lend a hand with something important. Dress up extra sharp, okay? Your ticket's already on the way." She hung up before I could object. Moments later, a call came through from Molly, using some unknown number. "Here you got Ken soon after starting your job," she sneered. "Real congrats." I could practically see her gloating, despite the poor phone reception. You're the kind society leaves behind. Meanwhile, I'm living it up, never needing to work. Tonight, I'm off to Lucy's concert. You know her, right? Top star, both an actress and a singer. She droned on, comparing our names and mocking the stark differences in our lives. Her smugness just made me chuckle. Little did she know, her high-status foreign boyfriend, Tim, would soon reclaim all he spent on her. I was looking forward to it, her last carefree days. Enjoy the concert, I wished her sincerely. In this case, skulking revenges weren't needed. She walked right into them. 10 minutes later, my VIP front row ticket to the concert arrived. I called a stylist for a quick makeover and drove straight to the event. By the time I parked, lines were stretching around the venue. Lucy had always been a star, not just for her looks, but also her talent and brains. A role model since we were kids. After graduating from Beijing Film Academy, she straightforwardly turned down her parents' plans and passionately dove into the entertainment world. Within just 3 years, she became a top-tier popular star, excelling in both acting and singing. Dino, did you really follow me here? I followed the sound for a while before spotting Molly in the long queue. I had no idea how she noticed me first. It's like she couldn't wait to stick her face over here. Feeling the hospitality, I gave her a little tap. Molly's gaze was somewhat complex, lacking her usual sarcastic tone, and she sighed deeply instead. Why put yourself through this? You're about to be out of a job and now buying this ticket. How much money do you have left? I just can't stand your aimlessness and lack of ambition. I chuckled. You're right, I'm exactly that sort of unmotivated person. With that, I bypassed the long line, greeted the staff, and entered through a special passage. Then I got countless calls and texts from Molly, which I ignored, deleted, and blocked. Lucy, my sister truly, for several hours now, has been singing, dancing, rapping, interacting with the crowd without missing a beat. Her breathing remained steady. The concert was a huge success, with cheers growing louder and louder. After finishing her last song, Lucy bowed to the audience, thanking fans for their support. Then she raised her eyebrows at me from the stage, and I got a sinking feeling. I know many are curious about my family situation, so let me introduce my brother, Dino, to you all today. Next, my face appeared on the big screen. Well, looking quite handsome. There were cheers from the female fans below. Wow, so handsome. Lucy went on, this brother of mine, he's kind and innocent, had a passionate college love, then got dumped after graduation. He's been pining away, leaving me heartbroken watching him. That's why I'm introducing him this way to those who care about me. Anyone interested can ask me for his details. As soon as she finished, a female fan below shouted out loud, "Sis, keep an eye on my hubby. I'll take him home later." I was genuinely famous. Very soon, the topic Lucy's brother Dino trended on various social platforms. Netizens were very keen to weigh in. Dino is so handsome and has such an awesome sister. Why did he get dumped? Guess why dashing Dino was dumped by his ex-girlfriend? I'll bet 10 packets of spicy strips that Dino's ex-girlfriend didn't know his sister is Lucy. I'll wager my ex-boyfriend's 10-year lifespan that Dino's ex is regretting it big time now. I'll bet my ex-boyfriend's 3 centimeters that Dino's ex is frantically calling to apologize now. Why only 3 centimeters? Upstairs? Probably because there isn't any more to wager. That's spot on, upstairs. Sympathy for the 5th floor. Sympathy for the 5th floor. Netizens really have a knack for discovering things. Is Molly ever buzzing me from any number she can find? I took a call, they all had Molly's voice. Exasperated, I told her, stop asking. I love then, not now. Molly paused before continuing. Is Lucy really your sister? You should have seen it yesterday at the concert. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Well, you never asked. Molly got irate again. Just 'cause I didn't ask, you wouldn't tell me? I planned on telling you back when we graduated, but seeing your family's situation, I gave up. You could have met those conditions but refused, you jerk. With a sarcastic laugh, I replied, don't overrate me. If I was an orphan, I'd be broke and totally underqualified for you. Molly switched gears. Dino, I'm no plain Jane. I want to break into the entertainment industry. Can your sister help me out? Playing dumb, I replied, you want to get into showbiz, go ahead. But what's it got to do with my sister? Based on our past relationship, can't you ask your sister to lend a hand? What relationship did we have? If any, it was you cursing my whole family to death. You sure have the guts to expect my sister's help with that sort of relationship. Hanging up heavily, I felt a wave of relief, completely refreshed. Meanwhile, Molly got caught up in the fame too. Her notoriety came partially because of me, but also her parents. Thanks to my situation, she got exposed as my ex-girlfriend. Initially, she thought she could ride the wave by playing the independent woman card, attracting heaps of fans. However, netizens unearthed her family members and past doings. I checked out their findings and couldn't help but applaud the solid acting skills of her parents. Molly's parents were never dual state employees. They watched gates and bike racks for state companies back in the days. Once unemployed, they made money through small-time hustles. Their sharp acting and people's lazy avoidance of trouble steadily upgraded the family lifestyle. But then they crossed a clueless young man. A kind-hearted college student helped her mom up, only to be accused of knocking her down. Her dad soon joined the berating chorus blaming the student. Blood boiling, the student stood up against such nonsense and betrayal, boldly defending himself and seeking help and evidence from witnesses that day. 3 days later, a passerby spoke up, bringing along footage of the incident. The passerby had experienced similar small-time scams and got into the habit of recording acts of kindness as a precaution, keeping the clips for 6 months. Upon seeing the flyer, they promptly reached out to the student. Ultimately, in front of the witnesses and evidence, the police officer sternly criticized her parents and asked them to apologize to the college student. But the student refused to accept the apology unless it was in front of the media. Otherwise, he wanted 10,000 yuan for reputation damage and emotional distress. Normally, people put money in their pockets, not take it out to put in others. So, Molly's parents didn't apologize in front of the media, nor did they pay the damages. They ended up on the defaulters list. Now I get why Molly's parents looked so upset when she introduced me as a simple-minded person. Molly's scammer parents became a trending topic. While checking online comments, her parents accidentally fell down the stairs and ended up in the hospital. Talk about coincidence. They were being wheeled in on stretchers when I was visiting a college roommate in the hospital. He broke his leg playing soccer, and this hospital has the best ortho department, so it was packed. Many patients didn't have beds and were waiting on temporary ones in the hall, which was super inconvenient. I called Johnny, who told me the hospital next door was also great for ortho, and his company had a partnership with them. He said, "Give me a minute." In about 10 minutes, Johnny said everything was set, and I could take my friend over. As soon as we got there, they quickly arranged a bed and surgery time for him. His parents were incredibly grateful, and he just gave me a simple thank you. He knew our friendship was pure, and that's why we got along well. While we were chatting about classmates, Molly showed up. She didn't hold back and asked flat out, "Dino, can you get my parents a bed and surgery?" I hadn't even answered when my roommate jumped in. "Molly, you fooled all of us. You put on the innocent act and chased Dino relentlessly, saying you'd marry no one else. We all helped you and you got with Dino. While dating, you bossed him around, taking advantage of his devotion. Then, after college, you dumped him for a foreign guy. And now you have the nerve to come back with demands? Where do you get off?" Turns out Molly did care about her reputation because she ran off after my friend's outburst. It was satisfying. A few days later, I got calls from John and HR. John sounded regretful, warning me to brace myself. The HR manager was upbeat, saying everything was sorted and fairness restored. I went back to the office hopeful since it was all wrapping up. There were a bunch of people in the conference room, including HR, Mike, Peter, the business manager, the deputy VP of the business department, John, and me. HR announced the findings. We found multiple issues with Dino at work, like slacking, collecting packages and meals, even browsing other companies' info. We've verified it and have proof. Also, he's been making false allegations, causing internal conflict. The impact is severe and he's being dismissed. She presented a heap of so-called evidence. John and Mike stayed solemn, while others sneered, as if mocking my futile struggle. Peter silently mouthed, "You're too naive. I told you to scram, so scram." Looking around, I understood and briefly skimmed their proof, which just showed me picking up packages or going to the restroom. I hadn't been idle these days and had some evidence of my own. I laughed and played a video on my phone. Stranger, aren't you afraid we'll steal your business with this info? Peter, I'm just a worker. A deal earns me only a few thousand, but with you I get at least 10 grand. Our company is huge, it won't miss it. Stranger, aren't you worried about colleagues or the company discovering this? Peter, half of us do this and no one gets caught. But outside this door, I never said anything. With that, I paused the video. Peter turned pale, accusing me of faking it. No way, this is real. You couldn't have recorded in a bathhouse. He realized his mistake immediately, looking terrified, but it was too late. He was sweating bullets, no longer arrogant, slumping over the table like a beaten stray. I looked at Mike, then John. John, Mike, can you testify on this? John hadn't anticipated this turn of events but nodded after some thought. Mike stayed silent. The HR manager and the deputy VP exchanged a look. The HR manager then spoke to me sincerely. Dino, this evidence is very important. I'm worried someone might try to harm you. Let me keep it safe. The deputy VP chimed in. Whether this is true or not, I have to look into it. Please don't share the video just yet. Give me some time to handle it. I shook my head. This is serious, but I don't want to trouble either of you. I've already handed the evidence over to General Manager Tan at HR and my dad. You already gave it to General Manager Tan? The HR manager asked. Your dad? That was the deputy VP, showing a bit more sensitivity. Your name is Dino, your sister is Lucy, and Johnny is the head of Sunrise Group. He wouldn't happen to be your brother, right? I nodded. Yeah, Johnny's my brother. His face turned slightly pale, but he still looked at me with a hopeful gaze, trying to confirm. Your intuition is impressive. You'd make a great fortune teller, I said jokingly. His face turned completely white then, his layers of fat trembling. Still, he wasn't ready to give up, muttering to himself that it might just be a coincidence. Just then, the conference room door opened. In walked my dad, mom, brother, General Manager Tan from HR, and several board members. My dad sat at the head of the table and solemnly addressed everyone in the room. The group has suffered significant losses over the years. The evidence has been handed over to the police, and those involved will be prosecuted. He made his point clear, causing everyone but John and Mike to struggle to remain standing. The deputy VP struggled to support his over 200-pound frame as he crawled over to my dad, sobbing. Please, I've worked hard for the company all these years. Give me one more chance. My brother Johnny and I quickly stopped him from clinging to our dad's legs. Johnny sneered and said, hard work doesn't even begin to describe what you've done. You've pocketed millions from the company over the years. My dad sighed. I gave you a chance before, but you came back with even more greed. Then he boasted to the board members, looks like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. My sons have taken charge and handled the company's severe financial issues in no time. The board members were pleased, celebrating that my dad had successors and the company was saved. Molly was having a rough time lately. First, her parents were exposed for their scams and defaults. Then they were both hospitalized with severe health problems due to unresolved issues and were on the verge of lifelong disability. Next, her brother was jailed for leaking company secrets and financial crimes. Due to the large amount involved, he not only had to pay back the company but also faced years behind bars. Then, her foreign boyfriend Tim was chased by Albanian loan sharks. Tim tried to escape again but was stopped by some helpful locals. He desperately demanded all the money he'd spent while dating Molly, along with half of the wrath of the loan sharks. The jerk was never sincere. Anytime he transferred more than $100 to me, he'd mark it as a loan. He didn't even own an apartment in the city center. The place he showed my brother was rented. He was a broke guy through and through. Plus, he had a wife who came along and beat me up, causing a scene at my house. Now that guy's lost his job too, and I'm stuck facing his debts with him. I got nowhere to go. Dino, please forgive me. I was blind before and didn't recognize real talent when I saw it. I'm sorry I didn't see that you were the real deal. Molly cried like a scene from a classic tearjerker in front of me. I used to fall for that stuff. But now her antics just disgust me. I can't stand the way she pretends to be innocent while causing me pain. Seeing how desperate you are, I'll give you a free tip. I was the one who gave them your information and Tim's. I didn't bother hiding my smug grin. And your current address? I just sent it to them too. I'm sure the debt collectors are on their way. Molly cursed as she hurried away. With nearly unanimous votes, I got approved by the board and became a director at Prosperity Group, also serving as the group's general manager assistant. Sometime later, I met up with Lily. Sorry you got dragged into all that last time. But at least Tim didn't get a chance to retaliate. Tim had been harassing girls at school anyway. The fact he got fired so quickly had a bit to do with me, Lily said smugly. You probably don't know this, but my family is well regarded in the education field. I raised my coffee cup. Here's to us teaming up to take down a corrupt figure in education. Lily clinked her cup with mine lightly. Cheers.